Boz
has spoken.
Welcome to the Land of Boz with Jeff Bosley.
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Land of Boz for a Wednesday, July 3rd. And it's Wednesday, so if you don't already know, you're new to the show. If it's been a while, you have got to have forgotten, because today, Wednesday, is...
Hump Day! Yeah!
Yeah, Hump Day. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good week. I'm getting slowly better. That's one per week thus far. But yeah, welcome back to the show. So what have I been up to? I thought I'd do a little bit of catching up. I took a trip down south just recently. If you've done your stalking or you've picked up on some hints, it was a great quick trip. I actually flew out one morning and was back the next evening. And I really need to do a very giant public shout out to, I'll just use initials, JM. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have made that trip possible. And I mean that literally. I couldn't have done it without you. And so thanks to this individual, I was able to go down south and visit another individual. How vague and nebulous is this? And go see another individual. And long story short, life has changed in a good way. So I'm back. A little bit of, when like some... How do I put it? Like if some giant event happens in your life, it kind of makes your focus get back to being laser sharp when there's more at stake, or when you just kind of have to, it's just forgive me, but it's kind of like there's no such thing as a good kick in the balls, but like when you get kicked in the balls, you kind of have to go, whoa, reevaluate what's going on. Here's what matters. Here's what doesn't. And so this good, if there's such a thing, good life kick in the balls occurred, and, got home rejuvenated, stressed, happy, sad, frustrated, driven, focused, distracted, but it's all good at the end of the day. And so that's what I did. I went down south there, and I forgot how freaking hot it was. Jeez. I was stationed down south, and I forgot one of my great friends, Abby, really summarized the weather in the south by saying, it's like you're in a mouth. And that's exactly what it's like. If there was a way to be in the mouth of something, it's just hot, muggy, and miserable. So that's what I was doing. It's, like I said, it's a July 3rd, so I have 9 days to prep for a giant part of my Jack Reacher shoot. So as soon as I record this, I'm actually going to go to bed because I have a night gig tonight. That sounds really shady, but it's not. So I want to be rested for that because it's a lot of driving. So it's the opposite of my sleep schedule. So I got to go do that. Oh, there's yawn one. We are off to a good start. So we'll just get moving on. And God. So yeah, that's been the update. Welcome to the Land of Boz for July 3rd. Okay, and moving on. So I say it every time, I'll be damned if this segment isn't used in classrooms. I can't say around the world. I know of one teacher in one classroom that uses this segment, but since it's summer, I don't really know where this is going. So this is just for y'all's water cooler talk the next day at work, so you can, just kind of sound smarter than everyone else and smug. And smugger? Can you be smugger? More smug? But here is Today in History.
Extra, extra! Read all about it! Life story of Playboy Penny! Extra, extra!
All right, Today in History, July 3rd. It's a really boring day. But July 3rd, 1988, Iranian passenger jet shot down by U.S. Navy. For those of you who remember this, I was pretty young, but I still, we're off to a good start. Yawn too. I still remember this, but Iran Flight 655, a civilian passenger flight from Tehran to Dubai, was shot down by a surface-to-air missile fired from the USS Vincennes of the U.S. Navy. The aircraft was destroyed, killing all 290 people on board, including 66 children. It had mistaken the aircraft for an Iranian F-14 jet fighter. The jet was flying over Iran's territorial waters in the Persian Gulf along its scheduled route. While the U.S. did not admit legal liability or formally apologize to Iran, it agreed to pay $61 million in compensation to the family of Iranian victims. I actually don't remember those details. Good Lord. It's a little not good part of American history. To Jay. Let's get that mouth working. That sounds even more gross. But today, July 3rd, 1971.
You know the day destroys the night. Night divides
All right.
the day.
So do you know what it is? Is it the Doors? Is it Jim Morrison? What is it all about? But today, July 3rd, 1971, Jim Morrison died of an overdose. We lost a lot of the great ones to drugs, and probably will still continue to do so. Jim Morrison, the lead singer of the Doors, dies of a drug-induced heart attack. Although various stories are given, it is believed he snorted heroin, believing it was cocaine, and immediately suffered a heart attack. I did not know that. I can't. Good Lord, that the best overdose. Every time I think of overdoses, I automatically think of is it Reservoir Dogs? Oh no, I just blanked. The one with Uma Thurman stabbing and Quentin Tarantino stabs a needle in the dude's chest. Wow, Bruce Willis. It's a famous movie. I'm completely brain farting. So I gotta look it up. God dang it. Yeah, just a minute.
It's the whole music. Whole music.
All right, Pulp Fiction. Duh. Yeah, I always think of Pulp Fiction when I think of drug overdoses. But it was discovered by his girlfriend, Pamela. What was her name? Pamela Courson. She helped put him in a bathtub of warm water in an effort to revive him, but it was too late. I don't know where she saw life revival skills school, but she would eventually die of overdose. Jeez, she died of a heroin overdose 3 days later. Alrighty. And now it's pretty boring. Not to say unimportant, but it's a pretty boring day in history. First transatlantic hot air balloon, the Andy Williams show. Oh, this is a great one. July 3rd, 1930. This disaster. This is pretty much how I feel every time I go into this place.
Shit, damn it, Archer!
Yes, July 3rd, 1930. The VA, the Veterans Administration, is established to consolidate and administer a system of benefits for veterans and their dependents. If you are a veteran or know family members of veterans or something, you are aware that place is a disaster. So I won't even get into that rant, but it's a disaster. 2 years earlier, July 3rd, 1928, was the public demonstration of color TV. That's interesting. So yeah. Moving on. I find this funny. July 3rd, 1906, Pope St. Pius X formally condemns the intellectual movement within the Roman Catholic Church. I am Catholic, and I still find a lot of my Catholic heritage amusing. This one rings true to home. July 3rd, 1890, the state of Idaho becomes the 43rd state. I didn't realize it was that late in the process of their 50 states, but July 3rd, 1890, Idaho. I wasn't born there, but I spent the majority of my life in Idaho. The older I get, the ratio is going to flip, but I would say, kindergarten all the way through high school. I went off to college, then came back to college in Idaho, so I've spent a big chunk of my life in Idaho. July 3rd, 1886, and I found this interesting. The first automobile. So there's a difference between Henry Ford, I think, and inventing the automobile and actually developing it. There was something to do with patents or whatever. But July 3rd, 1886, Carl Benz, Mercedes-Benz, takes his creation for its first drive in Mannheim, Germany, reaching a top speed of 10 miles per hour. Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg ends today in 1863. American Revolution, July 3rd, 1775. Obviously, tomorrow's July 4th. July 3rd, 1754, 20 years prior, the French and Indian War. Quebec is founded by French explorer Samuel du Chaplin in 1608, and today, an idol and yet a weird passive nemesis is a strong word, but only because of this Jack Reacher thing. Mr. Tom Cruise was born July 3rd, 1962. But in all seriousness, I envy his career. I'd kill to emulate it. I not necessarily his career maybe, but like his path and how he handles his career. I mean, he gets to do what he wants because of his success. And good, bad, or indifferent, I wouldn't mind having that career. And then some births and deaths that nobody's ever heard of. Like I said, Jim Morrison. Pretty boring day in history. So we'll just call it good and just, we don't want to get too smart. So that was today in history. And moving on, like I said, it's going to be an abbreviated show because I need to go to bed. But today we got a little bit of fitness chat. All y'all loved our Tony, the bro science guy. So Tony's going to be coming back to today to do a little bit of fitness chat. So here is fitness chat with our bro science guy, Tony.
Okay, I'm going to get a Bowflex. I'm going to commit. I'm going to get some dumbbells.
You know you can't eat dumbbells, right?
Okay, my name's Tony, and for those of you who don't remember me from the last show, I'm a big guy and a big proponent of science that can't be backed by any sort of certifiable periodical or any sort of collegiate research. I only like things that are on the internet and Instagram. That's where I base all of my decisions. It's the Bible of my life. So if it's in a library or some sort of, scientific journal, it's fake news. But today I want to talk about what you would call like the before and sorry, Tony's out of breath because I get a lot of my cardiovascular news also from bro science, meaning I have no cardiovascular capacity, which means I basically, and by the way, Tony speaks in the third person about himself, but it basically means Tony can't breathe when he gets talking fast like this. Okay, Tony's back. All right, so today I want to talk about the before and after phenomenon that you see on social media. A lot of times trainers or coaches or whatever will show a before and after client, and you will see, God willing, some sort of progress. And now, a lot of that is amazing. I've seen some amazing Photoshop in my day, and some of these are stellar. Like, I've seen video before and afters where they Photoshopped abdominals on the dude, and you can tell it's Photoshopped because the abs don't move. It's one of the worst Photoshop jobs I've ever seen. While he's talking, your abs should flex and relax with breathing and various contractions of the obliques and the rectus abdominis. They didn't even move. They stayed flexed the whole time. So with that in mind, every time you see a movie where the hero or the heroine, isn't heroin word we just overdosed on? Anyway, don't get too excited. You can add abs in programs called After Effects. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. But today I want to talk about the before and after pictures. Now, a good science dude I follow, his name is Lane Norton. Now, I follow him to know that the exact opposite of everything he says is scientifically bro truth. So everything he says, when he backs it up with science and he can quote and he can state his source, I ignore all that and assume it's wrong. Because why? Because Tony is bro science only. So he, Mr. Doctor, he's a PhD, and again, that doesn't make him smart. PhD, I got my knowledge from the internet. No PhD required. So who's the sucker? Tony or PhDs? I'll tell you what, Tony's not the sucker. But this before and after picture Mr. Norton posted the other day was an awesome specimen of before and after awesomeness. the female individual, a well-known she's kind of like the sister science, because I got bro science because I'm a boy, because I have a pee-pee. But because she's a girl, I guess she'd be called cis science. So we'll look into that. So we'll just say cis science, and her name, the abbreviations or initials would be PH. And she posted a picture of a before and after of a muscle gain of something like 8 pounds in 2 days, something crazy. I don't know what it was, but it was awesome because it was my kind of science. It couldn't be backed up by any proof, which is awesome. And there were no scientific studies that came even close to that rate of muscle gain, even counting studies where people used all sorts of gear and steroids. Not even they put on as much muscle as this chica in this before and after photo. So what I'm saying, last week I was saying don't rack your weights. Today's lesson is I'm telling you, trust the internet. Yeah, so if you see those too good to be true before and after pictures, or cool pills or creams or gadgets and wazoo bahookies, odds are they work, and they work wonders, because if it seems too good to be true, it's probably true, because it means it works. So go get your fancy drinks, your detox iced teas, your non-educated social media fitness guys and girls that are Instagram trainers. Get them to train you, because odds are everything they say is totally real and totally can be not proven by science, which means, in my opinion, it's real. So that's today's lesson from Tony. Trust the internet, because if it's there, it's real. And if it's too good to be true and it seems way super easy, it's probably the perfect thing to do. So this is Tony. I'm sweating. So I think I'm going to go have a pizza and then wonder why I'm fat. So everyone, peace out. Have a good one. Tony out. Ciao. I really think that's my new favorite segment. Everybody's loved it. So we're just hopping right along. This came up on a couple social media posts, and this is for you actors or people in the acting industry or Hollywood or looking to get into it. I got some opinions on some shenanigans with the Atlanta market, if you will. I just went back into Tony a little bit there. I like how Tony's from Chicago. I didn't even know I could do a semi-decent, crappy Chicago accent. But today, let's get into a little bit of actor chat.
Well, I'm an actor, right? So I gotta keep my emotions right at the surface, you know?
All right, so for actor chat, I want to touch on a lot of people when I post stuff say you should move to Atlanta. They're making a lot of TV and film there. Yes, that is absolutely true. But the roles I want, and I don't mean this, and a massive disclaimer for anybody that does extra work or background work, I'm not saying I'm higher than thou. It's kind of like when a doctor wants to be a doctor. There's a point where they quit interning because they've progressed, or they've set their own limits they've set their minimum on what they're willing to do because they want to move forward. I've done the background work and the extra work, and I don't want to do that anymore. So, I mean, that's that. It's just a goal I've set for myself. And a lot of stunt and background and extra work does exist in Atlanta. No questions at all. But the thing is, when they're casting their speaking roles or their main roles, their reoccurring roles, the roles that are on 5 or more episodes, especially their lead roles, they cast out of LA offices, because all Atlanta shoots essentially have an LA home office, and that's where the casting direction is. If there is an audition in Atlanta for that kind of role, odds are your Los Angeles agent can still submit you, and that's that. But moving there purely for speaking roles in Atlanta, it's extremely risky. I saw this in Colorado, and no disrespect to anybody out in that market. Fast and Furious, a Johnny Depp movie was shooting through there, and everybody freaked out going, oh my God, I'm so glad I live in Colorado. I'm going to be in the next Fast and Furious or the next Johnny Depp movie and become famous. No, they bring the cast from Los Angeles. They will cast background and extras and environment and crew and all that locally for sure. But you won't, the odds of you getting a speaking role on those gigs is small because they'll cast it before they start even getting to that remote location in New Mexico, Colorado, or Atlanta. Again, there's no rhyme or reason or set facts in the film industry, but consistently that's what I see. Like stunt community, for sure, there's so many things being shot in Atlanta. That's perfect because you just stay there and just keep working as a stunt individual. But consistent speaking roles and actual actor work jobs are minimal because, again, they cast out of Los Angeles. I've auditioned for tons of Atlanta-based films and TV shows in English and films shot in Britain. But they were casting out of Los Angeles because no matter what, that's the necessary evil place to cast out of. The main office is there. The main studio is there. They'll have like a sub branch, like The Walking Dead. It's shot in Atlanta for like 15 years at this point. But the thing is, all the speaking roles and all that are cast out of Los Angeles. So to cancel leases or to uproot yourself and move to Atlanta hoping you'll even get an audition for a main role or a speaking role, it's a cost risk analysis, and it's a massive cost. It's a massive risk for very little good payoff. So that's kind of my little insight to my opinion and what I've seen consistently work regarding non-Los Angeles markets. So feel free to chime in, hit me up on any way, shape, or form in social media or for the podcast, and I'd love to discuss it further. If you have any questions or things you want to elaborate on or counter argue, I'm all for it. So that's that. A little bit of acting chat regarding Atlanta markets. And lastly, I think so. Yeah, lastly, moving on to a little bit of Jeff talking about relationships. Oh my God. All right. That just ends. Relationship talk. So, just like anything in life, you learn what works and what doesn't when you see what really fails miserably and you go, okay, don't do that again. Or you realize what you thought worked and then you realize it didn't work, and then you know what you're shopping for, so to speak. Like, let's say you think you want a certain car, you get that car, you realize that didn't work. You chalk it up in your mental database about, okay, these are the things I didn't like about that car. Don't make the same mistake again. And so one thing I kind of want to pass on, I know three different the other guys in this situation. No, actually 3 guys and 1 girl going through massive divorces recently, and now they're back on the market, so to speak. And one thing I've been learning is, this is going to be a little bit of positive hippie crap from Jeff here, but one thing I'm starting to realize is when you feel that warm and fuzzy or that partnership, that's what I think we all need to be looking for in our relationships, is a thing that synergizes or is a synergist to your life, not an antagonist, where it's give and take, ebb and flow. It's a fluid existence where one person, like this was the same way in like when I was in the military, and my first marriage was, while I was in school training to be Green Beret, my life situation kind of took precedence just because that's the way it was. But then once that settled down, it swung to the other end, and we helped focus on her and her career. So it goes back and forth situationally, but that's the one thing I think I drifted away from after my marriage was accepting substandard partnership, if you will. And if I have any exes that listen to this, it's no disrespect. We learn from each other. There's only really one ex that I would speak completely ill of, and I learned what I don't like, based on everything in that experience. So at least I came out of it knowing I didn't like something, or, you know, what things I know never to do again. But other than that, that individual, my past, actually most of my exes were good friends. I've been to their weddings. We still text or communicate on social media, so it's kind of nice. But the thing I think I've done, and a lot of people do, is the more they go through the relationships, the less, I think we risk being picky, and we possibly compromise a lot, when in fact we should be doing the opposite. We should be taking that quote unquote list of experiences and lessons learned and becoming that much more picky, because as we grow up and have more relationships and become older, we've accumulated this bullet list, if you will, of things we know we don't like. When you're 18, you're not even sure, but once you get to your 40s, that list is crazy long. You know exactly what you want, you know exactly what you don't want, and it's a very good specific list. When you buy your first car, you're not aware of all the options you may or may not like. Once you get to your third, fourth, or fifth car in your life, you've narrowed down and really become aware of the specific things you do and don't want in your next car. I don't mean to trivialize relationships by comparing them metaphorically to a car, but it works. So what I'm saying basically is, use that list that is much longer the older you get or the more experience you get, and stay picky. Don't compromise, and don't get dazzled by shiny bells and whistles. Keep your standards high, and again, I know this is really easier said than done, but until you're comfortable with yourself and are ready to like risk meeting people that don't fall into those standards, don't start even remotely looking to get in a relationship, and don't kid yourself or sell yourself on stuff, because you'll find out you were wrong. And then, 2 years pass and you're like, well, what the hell did I do? But you still get something out of it. So kind of a ramble, kind of a very non-connected through line there. But I guess if I was to sum it up, the biggest thing is as we progress in our age, keep track of those things that are deal breakers. And for me, the thing I've been learning and I've learned is that yin and yang, that ebb and flow of a partnership, where it feels like a teammate, where if something's going wrong, you both are there to deal with it, versus like this cut and dry, black and white, this is yours, this is mine, that's your responsibility, this is my responsibility. That's a roommate. And a lot of us have had those relationships, and in retrospect, I think all of us would agree those are horrible partnerships. Those aren't partnerships. Those are business partners, and that's a horrible way to exist. So once you find that partnership that makes you feel like somebody's there to got your back, don't settle, don't compromise. So a little bit of rambling. I don't know if it was worth anything, but I am sweating to death because to record this show, I have to turn off all my air conditioners. So it's really hot in here, so I gotta go. But that was a little bit of relationship talk. All right, wrapping it up. Huge thanks to everybody. I've seen a lot of the Bosley for Reacher things. You can get those hats and t-shirts at americasupply.com. Just do a search for Bosley. There's t-shirts and hats, tons of colors. They're really awesome. And I really appreciate it. I do get a percentage of that, so I do appreciate the sales. I do appreciate America's Supply for working with me and creating a little business partnership there. And I've also noticed a lot of people helping out on, whether it was on Patreon, because that's a monthly thing, or on the Patreon page, there's also ways to especially particularly help me with the Jack Reacher shoot. A Venmo and a PayPal and an Amazon connection there on the Patreon page. And those donations are going to cast and crew and paying for their food or renting cameras and all that. So I've noticed that. You know who you are. It's massively appreciated, but it's all filtered on the patreon.com page, patreon.com/Jeff Bosley. You can see where to go to Venmo, Amazon, and PayPal. And those of you who know me know I don't waste time or money or excuse the little bit of vulgarity here, but I don't really dick around. The minute those come through, I automatically know I'm renting a camera with it, or paying crew, or buying them food, or paying for their gas. So that stuff really helps, because to make this Jack Reacher thing, it's coming out of my food budget to buy food for other people. So it's all appreciated. But In the meantime, I appreciate everything. Hopefully this show gave you at least a little something to listen to. This has been The Land of Boz for July 3rd. And yeah, I think that's it. So go forth, conquer, kick ass, be relentless. Adios.